Hello, Nakama, and welcome to the Church of One Piece. I am your pastor, the One Piece apologist, and we have another special sermon for you today on the One Piece live-action Netflix series. But before we get into that, I do just want to remind everyone that there will be some spoilers in this series for both the entire live-action Netflix series as well as for the whole story of One Piece up to where the manga has been released currently. There's just a lot of fun references throughout the live action series that I do want to be able to highlight, and I can't really do so without addressing some spoilers. So, if we're all good there, then come aboard. Let's get started. So today we're going to be reviewing episode 6, The Chef and the Chore Boy. Again, almost definitely a title that comes from like straight from the manga and or the anime. They say Zoro has one foot in life and one foot in death. I feel like that's another kind of reference to his demonic nature, or the fact that later he becomes the king of hell, right? So I thought that was kind of cool. Mihawk definitely seems to have a certain faith in Luffy. Reminds him of someone from a long time ago or whatever, knows that he has Shanks' hat, and is willing to go and tell Vice Admiral Garp, decided not to bring him in. Just didn't feel like that was the right thing to do, you know? So clearly has a certain respect for Luffy, right? Then, of course, Garp destroys the office while laughing. I do love that he destroyed the office. I think they were kind of trying to strike a balance between, keeping him threatening and kind of scary for the people who had never seen the series before, and between the people who knew who he was and, oh, he's laughing, he's actually kind of entertained by all this, right? So I thought that was a fairly well done scene and kind of a good way to do it. I am so glad, though, that they went the manga route over the anime choice, and they had Zeph eat his leg, I think that his decision to remove his leg, when he is known as Red Leg Zeph, his legs were very important to his pirating career, and, he was willing to remove that leg and eat it in order to allow Sanji to have all the food. I think that's such a big decision, much larger to me than, oh, his leg got caught in an anchor chain or whatever, while he was diving down to save Sanji. And basically, to me, it's like, even if he didn't, have the leg be removed, then he would have drowned. So, to me, the decision holds a lot more weight when he eats the leg, and so I'm very glad they brought that into the live action. But of course, Sanji and Zeph share a dream of finding the All Blue, and that's one reason that Zeph is willing to give so much for Sanji. It's not just that he's some random kid and Zeph feels, young bright future versus old man, I've lived my life. No, he actually feels something for Sanji because they share this dream together. And so, again, so glad they showed that decision made the decision to show him eating, show that he ate the leg. They didn't show him eating the leg. That's probably better. But another great little reference, Nolan the Liar being aboard, like the Baratier. Nami is reading it to Zoro in order to kind of keep his foot on the life side, right? And it just makes sense that book would be there, because it is later from the Jaya / Skypiea arc where we first hear the story of Nolan the Liar. But at that time, Sanji also makes a comment in the manga / anime. Oh, I know that story because it's from the North Blue, just like me. And it's like, whoa, we met you in the East Blue, though. And it's like, no, he says he's from the North Blue, though. And that's a very interesting little you know, tasty morsel, you know, to find out later, to find out more about later, right? But so I really love that. Oh yeah, like I mean, it makes sense that like they would have that book aboard the Baratier because maybe it was like one of Sanji's favorite childhood bedtime stories or things like that, right? Um, and of course, Nami gets a bed on the Going Merry, whereas all the guys sleep in hammocks. I do appreciate that they brought that over from the live act or into the live action from the manga slash anime. Because you know I think that makes a lot of sense, right? You give the lady the nice thing, and then the guys just sleep in the hammock room, you know. And I do really like Arlong's voice. I feel like it sort of has like a deep south sort of aspect to it, but while also just having that vicious biting shark um, uh, quality to it that really does make him fierce and intimidating. Um, and you know, I thought it was a great little line then when Arlong sees Luffy and he's like, "Oh, I was expecting someone bigger," and then Luffy's like, "So was I," you know, and especially because there were some complaints after the trailers that Arlong was not big enough. He was not larger enough than Luffy, and so I think that kind of addressing that and having Luffy say like, "Oh, I was expecting you to be bigger," is a fun little reference, a funny way of doing that, right? But I do have to just say that shitiots is my number one new favorite word, hands down. It was really cool. Also, that like I love seeing Buggy being carried around as a head by the Arlong pirates, and then the fact that he's got his eyes and ears everywhere, and he put the ear on Luffy's hat so that he could hear everything, but he calls them all shitiots. It's so funny. It's such a funny combination of words to me. Um, and of course, then Nami gives us some exposition by talking to Zoro as he's healing. You know, she does give us background information that we need, but that maybe the rest of the character shouldn't necessarily fully be aware of. And so she's able to say that to a unconscious Zoro, right? And then that gives us the information, which I thought that was a good way of doing it. But Chu, the one of Arlong's crew who like drinks the alcohol and shoots the like and has the big lips, like it looks super weird to me. It honestly looked like bad plastic surgery, like you know, like some sort of like Real Housewife or something, and Real Housewife of Atlanta or whatever, you know, and like it just was. And then I feel like they almost like leaned into the fact that it looked like that by Chu would call people honey and darling and like little one and like you know it was super weird. It felt I don't know. It was a weird look to me, and generally I do think the prosthetics on the fishmen weren't fantastic, but they were fine except for that one. That one really like took me out of it pretty much every time. But Nami does save Luffy from Arlong just biting his jugular or whatever by like convincing Arlong, oh, he's a devil fruit user, just throw him in the sea. Why waste your time, you know? And thought that was a clever way for her to make sure that Luffy didn't for sure die, right? He had a chance to be saved when he gets thrown in the ocean. And of course, Nami does not steal the Mary, which is an interesting change. You know, I would have expected her to, but I get it. She can't really sail that by herself, so it's a little bit less realistic in live action. But, you know, I think it does change a little bit about how she, you know, about how much she did betray the crew, right? But I love then that Luffy says the whole crew's falling apart, and Zoro was like, no, it's not. And then he, like, officially makes that proclamation of joining, you know. You are my captain, and I am your first mate. And I thought that was a really great scene, and I think that as we go for years to come with the live action, hopefully we will look back on that scene fondly and remember it great with a lot of happiness. Well, that's going to be it for the review of Episode 6, The Chef and the Chore Boy. And as always, One Piece be with you.